The silence of space stretched endlessly outside the viewing window of the human battleship Resolute. Stars shimmered like cold lanterns, scattered far beyond reach, but inside the ship, the crew was restless. They had just returned from a brutal skirmish with an alien fleet, one of many clashes that had shaken humanity since they ventured into the galaxy. Among the wreckage of the enemy vessels, a single survivor had been found, an alien female warrior, bound in glowing restraints and placed under heavy guard. She was unlike anything most of the humans had ever seen. Her figure was tall and lithe, her skin a strange shade of pale silver, as though carved from moonlight. Her eyes glowed faintly with a golden sheen, sharp yet filled with exhaustion. She carried herself with the pride of a soldier, even in chains. Captain Elias Ward stood before the reinforced cell, his jaw tight. He had fought her people before. He had seen their fleets descend on human colonies with merciless precision. They were known as the Veyari, a species bred for conquest, feared across star systems. Yet here, one of their own was kneeling, weakened, captured, and surrounded by humans who saw her as nothing but a threat. "State your name," Ward demanded, his voice steady but not unkind. The alien raised her head. Her expression flickered between defiance and desperation. "Serenia," she said, her voice carrying a melodic tone, as though every word was wrapped in ancient rhythm. "Commander of the Third Wing of the Veyari." Ward's eyes narrowed. "You commanded the fleet that ambushed us?" She looked away. "I commanded what remains of a dying people." The crew around him murmured uneasily. To them, these words sounded like deceit. Aliens like her were predators. They knew only war. Why speak now of death and weakness? Serenia suddenly leaned forward, her golden eyes locking on Ward's. Her voice dropped low, trembling yet fierce. "Show mercy, human. If you do, I will give you what no other species can. My body holds the key to powerful offspring, born of your kind and mine, children stronger than the storms of war, able to survive where both our species would fall. Without this union, my people will perish, and your kind may be next." The room went still. Even the low hum of the ship's engines seemed to fade into silence. One of the younger officers burst out, "Captain, she's lying! It's a trick! She wants to distract us." Another growled, "Kill her before she can signal the rest of her fleet." But Ward did not speak right away. He studied her carefully, noting the tension in her voice, the slight quiver in her hands as she pressed them together in supplication. This was not the tone of a predator playing a game. This was a plea. "Explain yourself," he finally said. Serenia drew in a shaky breath. "The Veyari are not what they once were. Long ago our strength was unmatched, our bloodlines pure. But endless war, endless conquest, it has hollowed us. Our children grow weaker with each passing century. Few survive to adulthood. Our empire hides this truth, but I have seen it. My people are crumbling." She paused, her eyes softening. "And then came humanity. Your kind survives where none should. Fragile in body, yet unbroken in spirit. Every battle you endure, every world you build from dust, you thrive where we decay. We need you, Captain, more than you know." The words struck Ward like a hammer against stone. He remembered Earth's long struggle, how humanity had clawed its way from fragile beginnings, endured plagues, wars, and disasters, yet still reached the stars. Could it be true that this fierce, advanced species now looked to humans for salvation? The silence was broken by Lieutenant Kara, a stern woman at Ward's side. "Captain, with respect, this is manipulation. She's painting herself weak, so we'll lower our guard. If we let her live, she could bring doom to us all." Others nodded in agreement. Fear was a powerful force, and Serenia represented everything. They had been taught to hate, but Serenia spoke again, louder this time, her voice cracking like a whip of desperation. I do not beg as an enemy. I beg as one who has seen the end of her people. Show mercy, human. Mercy is something the Veyari forgot long ago. Perhaps only you still remember its worth. Ward's hands tightened behind his back. He had faced death countless times in combat, but this decision weighed heavier than any battlefield. Killing her would be simple, clean, and safe. Sparing her could bring ruin, or hope. He dismissed the guards with a nod, signaling them to stand back, though they looked at him in shock. Then he stepped closer to the cell, his voice calm but piercing. If I believe you, Serenia, what then? You ask me to show mercy, but mercy comes with a price. What would you give humanity in return? She lifted her head higher, her voice firm, despite the chains. Knowledge of our enemies, secrets of our fleets, and the chance for our bloodlines to merge. To create a future where neither of our species must face extinction alone. Ward studied her carefully. It was an offer heavy with danger, but also with possibility. Humanity had always found strength, in the unlikeliest of places. Behind him, whispers rose again, crew members arguing in hushed tones. Some saw her words as poison, others as prophecy. For now, the ship's captain alone carried the burden of choice. Ward turned away, his expression unreadable. Lock the cell. No one approaches her without my order. The guards obeyed, the cell glowing with energy as it sealed around Serenia once more. As Ward walked down the metallic corridor, his mind echoed with her plea. Show mercy, human. And for the first time in a long while, Elias Ward felt that humanity's war with the Veyari might not be about conquest at all. Perhaps it was about something far greater, something that could change the galaxy forever. The ship Resolute drifted quietly through the black sea of space, but inside its walls, tension burned like a hidden fire. The crew was divided. Some whispered of betrayal, others demanded swift execution, and a few remained uncertain, caught between fear and curiosity. Captain Elias Ward sat alone in the command chamber, the dim lights reflecting off the polished table before him. The echo of Serenia's words still lingered in his mind. Show mercy, human. He rubbed his temples, knowing that a single decision could change everything, not just for his crew, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. When the door hissed, "Open!" Dr. Harlan, the ship's chief scientist, entered. His thin frame and restless eyes betrayed both excitement and unease. He carried a data pad clutched tightly in his hands. I've run tests, Harlan said without waiting for permission to speak, on the aliens' blood samples. The results are troubling. Ward straightened. Explain. The scientist placed the pad on the table, its screen glowing with streams of genetic data. Her people, the Veyari, are on the edge of collapse. It's true. Their genetic structure is unstable, almost fragmented. Too many generations of controlled breeding, too much war. Their children are born weaker each cycle. Within a century, maybe less, they'll face extinction. Ward leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. And what about her claim, about humanity? Being the key? Harlan hesitated, chewing the inside of his cheek. That may also be true. Our DNA appears to complement theirs in ways I can't fully explain yet. It's like two puzzle pieces that fit together where neither piece is whole on its own. If what she says is genuine, humanity could strengthen them, and they, in turn, might strengthen us. Ward exhaled slowly, the weight of the revelation pressing down on him. So it's not a trick. At least not entirely. The door opened again, and Lieutenant Kara stormed in, her expression like steel. Captain, you can't be considering this. We're at war with her kind. Do you really believe an alien prisoner begging for mercy is the salvation of two species? It's more likely she's playing on your emotions. Ward remained calm. And if she isn't? Kara's eyes blazed. If she isn't, then we risk giving power to a race that has slaughtered our colonies. I've seen the aftermath of their raids. Entire cities turn to ash. You show mercy to her, and she could bring disaster to every human world. Her words struck like iron, but Ward didn't flinch. He had lived through those raids, too. He had buried comrades, seen children orphaned, seen fire consume once thriving towns. Yet something in Serenya's voice had carried a truth he couldn't ignore. "We will test her further," Ward said firmly. "If she lies, we will know." Later, in the interrogation chamber, Serenya stood inside her glowing cell, her golden eyes steady as Ward entered with Dr. Harlan and two guards. Kara remained at his side, her arms crossed tightly. Ward stepped closer. "We've analyzed your blood. Dr. Harlan confirms your claim. But I must hear more from you, Serenya. Why now? Why reveal your weakness to us, your enemies?" Serenya's shoulders tensed. "Because pride has already doomed my people. For centuries we believed we were untouchable, forged in fire and victory. But what is an empire if it cannot give life to its future? What is strength when the young cannot carry it forward? I speak to you now because war cannot hide the truth any longer. If we continue down this path, the Veyari will vanish." Her voice softened, her gaze locking onto Ward's. "But humanity? Humanity is different. You endure. You rise after every fall. That is what we need. That is why I beg you." The chamber was silent. The guards shifted uncomfortably, their hands tightening on their weapons. Kara's jaw clenched, as though each word from Serenya was a thorn piercing her patience. Ward spoke evenly. "If we are to believe you, you must prove your loyalty. Words are not enough. What can you give us now here that would show you mean what you say?" Serenya lifted her head. "Knowledge. My fleet's codes, our tactics, even the weaknesses of our war machines. I know them all. With this, humanity can defend itself against my people or end the war entirely." Harlan's eyes widened. "Captain, if she speaks the truth, that information could shift the balance of power overnight." But Kara snapped. "Or it could be false data designed to lure us into a trap. We can't trust it." Ward studied Serenya. She did not flinch under his gaze. He could see the exhaustion in her posture, the faint tremble of someone who had carried too many burdens for too long. If she was lying, she was skilled beyond any deceiver he had ever known. Finally, Ward gave his order. "Dr. Harlan, take her data. Verify it against what we know. We will test her truth piece by piece." Hours turned into days as the crew worked tirelessly, comparing Serenya's information with past battle records and intercepted transmissions. To their surprise and unease, her data was accurate. Fleet movements, command hierarchies, ship, schematics. It all aligned with what humans had already suspected, and in some cases revealed far more than they ever knew. But the crew's division only deepened. "She's telling the truth," Harlan insisted, nearly breathless with excitement. "She's giving us the keys to end this war." Kara slammed her fist on the table. "And she's giving us temptation to lower our guard. The moment we grow soft, she'll strike." The crew split into factions, those who believed Serenya could be the key to peace, and those who saw her as a serpent in their midst. Whispers of mutiny spread through the lower decks as fear twisted into anger. One night, Ward visited Serenya's cell alone. She sat cross-legged on the floor, her chains glowing faintly, her golden eyes fixed on the stars beyond the window. "You've caused division among my crew," Ward said quietly. "Some want to kill you. Some want to trust you. And I'm caught between both." Serenia looked at him, her expression unreadable. That is the way of mercy, Captain. It is never easy. To show mercy is to walk on the edge of a blade, but it is also the only path to something greater than endless war. Ward studied her, his mind heavy with doubt and hope alike. He could not yet decide if she was the galaxy's greatest threat or its last chance at survival. As he turned to leave, Serenia spoke softly, her voice carrying across the cold chamber. Test me all you wish, doubt me as you must, but remember, this, strength alone will not save humanity. It is your mercy, your stubborn hope, that makes you different. That is why I came to you. That is why I chose to beg a human, and not anyone else. Ward paused at the door, her words striking deep into his chest. For the first time, he wondered if perhaps mercy was not weakness, but the strongest weapon humanity had ever carried. The hum of the Resolute's engines echoed faintly through the metal corridors, a steady reminder that the ship was adrift in the void, carrying not only its crew, but also a secret that threatened to tear them apart. Serenia's presence had already created a storm of opinions. Some saw her as a weapon handed to them by fate. Others whispered that she was a curse waiting to strike. And in the center of it all was Captain Elias Ward, burdened with the decision of whether to treat her as an enemy, an ally, or something far more complicated. Ward walked into the dimly lit observation deck where Serenia's reinforced cell was stationed. She sat inside cross-legged, her golden eyes glowing faintly, as if they held the light of another world. She no longer looked like a prisoner begging for mercy. She looked like someone waiting for judgment. Captain, Serenia said softly, her voice carrying across the barrier. You've tested my words. You know I've spoken truth. Ward folded his arms. The information you gave us was correct, but truth does not always mean trust. A weapon can be sharp and real, even if it is placed in the wrong hands. She tilted her head. And do you believe my hands are the wrong ones? Ward did not answer. Instead, he asked, why me? Why humanity? If your people are collapsing, why not reach out to another empire, another race? Serenia's expression shifted, almost tender. Because the others are like us, too proud, too rigid. They see mercy as weakness. But you, humans, you are different. I have seen your kind rise from nothing and refuse to break, even when stronger species press their boots upon your necks. You are flawed, fragile, but you endure. That is what my people need. That is why I came to you. Ward's jaw tightened. He wanted to dismiss her words as flattery, but part of him knew she was not lying. Humanity's survival was its greatest strength. Again and again, against impossible odds, they endured. The next morning, the crew gathered in the command chamber. Arguments broke out as soon as the meeting began. We can't keep her on board, one officer shouted. She's dangerous. She's giving us everything we need to survive this war, another argued. Why throw that away? Lieutenant Kara slammed her hand on the table. Captain, this has gone too far. She has divided this crew, and you know it. If you don't act, others will. Ward's eyes swept across the room. He saw fear in some faces, hope in others. It was a crew stretched thin by war, now stretched thinner by the presence of one alien prisoner who spoke of mercy and unity. Enough, Ward said firmly, his voice cutting through the noise. We are not executioners. We are not fools either. Serenia stays alive, and until I say otherwise, she remains under my direct supervision. Anyone who disobeys that order will answer to me. A heavy silence followed. The officers exchanged looks, but no one challenged him further. Kara's eyes, however, burned with quiet frustration. Later that day, Ward visited Serenia again, this time without guards. He entered the observation chamber, the heavy doors closing. Behind him, "You've stirred unrest," he said quietly. Serenia met his gaze without flinching. Change always stirs unrest. Your people fear me because they see in me a mirror of themselves. You fear what you might become if you accept me. Ward exhaled slowly. You speak like a philosopher, not a warrior. For the first time, Serenya's lips curved in a faint, almost human smile. Perhaps I am both. War has taught me the limits of strength. Philosophy has taught me the value of what lies beyond it. Ward sat on the bench outside her cell, something he had never done before. For a moment, they were not captain and prisoner, not human and alien. They were simply two weary souls trying to find meaning in a galaxy drowning in endless conflict. They spoke for hours. Serenya told him of her homeworld, once a garden of crystal rivers and shining towers, now scarred by centuries of battle. She described the Veyari's desperate attempts to control their bloodlines, how their obsession with power had hollowed their future. In turn, Ward told her of Earth, of humanity's wars, its resilience, its stubborn hope to build something greater than destruction. Serenya listened intently, as though every detail of humanity fascinated her. "You do not realize it, Captain," she said softly, "but your people carry the very strength my kind lost long ago. That is why I begged you, and not anyone else." But outside that chamber, shadows grew darker. Whispers of mutiny spread across the lower decks. Some crew members, led quietly by a lieutenant named Doran, believed Serenya was manipulating their captain. They gathered in secret, planning to protect humanity by removing the alien and, if necessary, removing Ward himself. Kara discovered their plans by accident. At first, she had shared their fears, but the idea of betraying her captain filled her with unease. Ward was strict but just, and above all, he believed in humanity's honor. She wrestled with her conscience, torn between loyalty to him and loyalty to her frightened crew. That night, Ward sat in his quarters, staring at the stars outside his window. He thought of Serenya's words, of the crew's unrest, of the thin line he walked between hope and disaster. When the door chimed, he expected one of his officers. Instead, Serenya stood there, flanked by two guards. "She requested to see you," one of the guards said, looking uneasy. Ward dismissed them and Serenya stepped inside. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, the silence heavy with unspoken tension. Finally, Serenya spoke. "You doubt me still. That is good. Doubt makes your mercy stronger. But listen, Captain. Something stirs among your crew. Fear is eating them. If you do not face it, it will consume them, and me with it." Ward frowned. "You mean mutiny?" She nodded slowly. "Yes. I have seen it before, among my own kind. Fear turns warriors against their leaders. Soon, you will face a choice, not between me and them, but between holding your people together or letting them tear themselves apart." Ward's stomach sank. He knew she was right. His crew was at the breaking point, and the next step he took would decide whether the Resolute became a beacon of unity or another casualty of war. As Serenya returned to her cell, Ward stood by the window, staring at the endless stretch of stars. His hand clenched into a fist. Mercy is not weakness, he thought. But if I fail to balance it, mercy will tear us apart. And in the quiet of that moment, Captain Elias Ward realized that the war outside his ship was nothing compared to the war growing inside it. The corridors of the Resolute were quieter than usual, but not peaceful. It was the silence of suspicion. Crew members passed each other with wary eyes, conversations cut short when officers entered a room, and whispers followed Captain Elias Ward wherever he went. Ward felt the weight of it. He had been in battles where enemy ships rained fire upon his hull, but this kind of battle was different, silent, hidden, growing in the shadows. Serenya's presence had split his people in two. Some saw hope, Others saw doom. And then came the distress signal. "Captain," Lieutenant Kara said as she entered the command chamber, her face pale. "We've picked up a call from Outpost Epsilon. They're under attack by Veyari forces." Ward's chest tightened. "Coordinates?" "2 days at maximum speed," Kara replied. "But Captain, if they're being attacked, then Serenya's—" "People must know she's here," murmurs spread through the bridge. To some, this was proof of her betrayal. She had cried weakness, but her people were strong enough to strike at colonies still. "Bring Serenya to me," Ward ordered. In the interrogation chamber, Serenya stood as Ward entered. She looked more tired than before, as though the weight of 1,000 years pressed on her shoulders. "You said your people were dying," Ward began coldly. "Yet they are strong enough to burn a colony. Outpost Epsilon sends for help even, as we speak. Tell me, Serenya, did you lure us into this?" Her golden eyes widened with alarm. "No, Captain. This proves everything I told you. The high command of my people refuses to face the truth. They lash out blindly, hoping conquest will cover their decay. The fact that they strike now only shows their desperation. Ward's—" voice hardened. "Or it shows that you're playing us for fools." Serenya stepped closer to the energy barrier, her face pressed with urgency. "If I wanted to trick you, Captain, I would not have given you your enemy's secrets. Use them now. Save your people. If we reach the outpost, we can stop the attack together." The guards glanced nervously at Ward, waiting for his order. He studied Serenya in silence. Her words carried desperation, but also conviction. If she was lying, she played the part flawlessly. As the Resolute prepared to change course, trouble grew within its halls. Lieutenant Doran, who had been quietly stirring unrest, gathered a group of crew members in the engine bay. "Do you not see it?" Doran whispered harshly. "She's guiding the captain. Every decision now bends toward her. Outpost Epsilon? Convenient, isn't it? She plants the seed and Ward follows. He is no longer our captain. He is hers." Some nodded uneasily. Fear gnawed at them. The idea of following Serenya into battle felt like betrayal to humanity. "We strike first," Doran said, "before Ward drags us into ruin." The sabotage came only hours later. As the Resolute prepared its jump drive for maximum speed, alarms blared. The engines sputtered, flickered, and died. The ship lurched, systems straining. Ward rushed to engineering, fury etched on his face. Sparks flew from consoles and smoke curled in the air. Engineers scrambled desperately. "Report!" Ward barked. "Sabotage!" the chief engineer shouted. "Someone tampered with the core regulators. The drive is offline. Days of repairs, Captain. We can't jump." The words hit Ward like a blade. Outpost Epsilon would fall before they arrived. Hundreds of lives lost, and then the whispers began. "It's her," one crewman growled. "The alien did this." "She wants us stranded," another agreed. "She's calling her people right now." Ward silenced them with a glare. No one speaks without proof. But doubt gnawed at even his own mind. Serenya was dragged to the chamber once again, guards gripping her arms tightly. She did not resist. Ward stormed in, fury in his voice. "Our engines have been sabotaged. Do you deny it?" Serenya stared at him, her face pale but resolute. "I deny it. I have done nothing." "Then why does every disaster fall upon us since you arrived?" Ward snapped. She took a step forward, her voice trembling. "Because fear blinds your people. Look beyond me, Captain. Someone among your crew does not want me alive. Someone who would rather kill me than see mercy win." The room went still. Her words cut sharp because they rang true. Ward's eyes narrowed. "You claim a traitor stands among my own." "Yes," Serenya said firmly. "If you do not find them, your ship will be torn apart not by me but by your own." Later that night, Kara found Ward alone in the command chamber, staring at the silent stars. "You doubt her?" Kara said quietly. Ward nodded. "I doubt everything. but sabotage leaves fingerprints. Whoever did this will reveal themselves. Kara hesitated, then spoke. Captain, there are rumors of Doran. He's been meeting with others, speaking against you. Ward turned sharply. And you tell me this now? Because until now, I wasn't sure, Kara admitted. But if Serenia is right, then our enemy may already be within these walls. 2 days passed. Repairs dragged on. Outpost Epsilon went silent. No further messages came, no signals of survival. The crew grew colder, angrier. Some spat curses whenever Serenia's name was spoken. Others avoided eye contact, ashamed of their own doubt. Then Ward called a meeting. He stood before his officers, Kara at his side. Serenia, though still in her restraints, was brought forward under heavy guard. Our engines were sabotaged, Ward announced. We searched every system, every circuit. And we found the fingerprints of betrayal. Gasps echoed across the room. Ward's eyes locked on Lieutenant Doran. It was you. Doran paled, but tried to sneer. Lies. You'd believe her over your own men? Ward held up a data pad. Your access codes were used. Your handprints. On the regulator. Do you deny what cannot be denied? The crew erupted in shouts. Some demanded Doran be executed, others called for restraint. Guards seized him as he fought against their grip. You're blind, Ward, Doran shouted. She's poisoning you. You'll doom us all. Ward's voice thundered over the chaos. No, what dooms us is division. What dooms us is fear-eating, us alive from within. We cannot survive the Veyari if we tear ourselves apart first. The crew fell silent. Ward turned to Serenia, his voice steady. You told the truth again. The traitor was not you, but one of my own. Perhaps I owe you more than suspicion. Serenia's golden eyes softened. And perhaps I owe you more than words. That night, Ward stood alone on the bridge. Outpost Epsilon was lost, its people gone. He could not change that. But one truth had been revealed. Serenia's loyalty had proven stronger than some of his own officers. The seeds of betrayal had nearly destroyed them. Yet in the ashes, something new had begun to take root. A fragile trust between human and alien, one that might yet grow into an alliance strong enough to change the galaxy. But Ward knew this. Trust was as fragile as glass, and in the vast darkness of space, there would be many waiting to shatter it. The engines of the Resolute finally roared back to life after days of exhausting repairs. The crew cheered as the ship vibrated with renewed power, though their celebration was muted by grief. Outpost Epsilon was gone. Hundreds of human lives, lost because of sabotage and delay. The weight of that truth pressed heavily on Captain Elias Ward's shoulders, but loss was not the end. It never was for humanity. Ward stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing stars outside. Set course for Colony Haven, he ordered. If the Veyari attacked Epsilon, Haven may be next. The crew moved quickly. Orders rippled across the ship, but beneath the urgency there was a new quiet. Doran, the traitor, had been locked away. Fear still lingered, but it no longer pointed only at Serenia. For the first time, some of the crew began to see that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't their enemy. Serenia was brought to the bridge under guard. She looked thinner, her silver skin pale under the harsh lights, but her golden eyes still burned. With determination. You moved to protect another colony, she said softly. This is wise. The High Command will not stop after one victory. They will press forward until all resistance crumbles. Ward glanced at her. Then help us stop them. You've given me truths before. Give me more. Serenia straightened, her voice steady. The Veyari ships are powerful but not invincible. Their shields grow weak under sustained ion fire. Their formations are rigid, predictable. If you strike at their flank, they will falter. And, she hesitated, I can speak their codes. I can send false signals to confuse them. The Crew shifted uneasily. Trusting her with their survival felt like handing a weapon to a former enemy. But Ward's eyes hardened. "Then you'll fight with us," he said. Colony Haven appeared on their scanners 2 days later. The lush planet spun peacefully, its oceans glimmering under a distant sun. But peace shattered when warning alarms blared. "Vayari fleet detected!" shouted the sensor officer. "5 warships closing in!" The crew snapped into motion. Fear and adrenaline surged through the bridge. Ward gripped the command rail, his voice sharp. "Raise shields! Prepare! All weapons!" As the human fleet shifted into formation, Serenia stepped forward. The guards hesitated, but Ward nodded. She pressed her hands to the console, her chains removed for the first time. Her fingers danced across alien symbols, her golden eyes glowing. As she tapped into the Vayari frequencies, transmitting false orders, she whispered. Their lead ship now believes reinforcements are arriving behind them. On the view screen, the enemy formation wavered. 2 ships pulled back, confused, leaving their flank exposed. "Now!" Ward shouted. The Resolute and its escorts opened. Fire, streams of ion blasts, hammering into the unshielded side of a Vayari warship. Sparks erupted across its hull as explosions rippled outward. The once mighty vessel broke apart, scattering debris into the void. A cheer rose from the crew. For the first time, they had destroyed a Vayari ship so quickly. But the celebration was short. The remaining enemy vessels closed in, weapons blazing. The Resolute shook violently as plasma fire tore across its shields. Consoles flickered, alarms, screamed, and smoke filled the air. Crew members shouted over the chaos, scrambling to keep systems alive. Ward's voice thundered above the noise. "Hold formation! Protect Haven at all costs!" Serenia leaned over the console, sweat beading on her brow. "Their captain will not fall for the same trick twice. You must strike harder. Show them the strength that makes humanity feared." Ward met her gaze. "Then stand with us, Serenia, not as a prisoner, but as an ally." Her golden eyes widened, then softened. Slowly, she nodded. The battle raged on. Human ships weaved between enemy fire, smaller and less armored, but far more agile. Serenia fed them constant updates, predicting the Vayari's moves before they came. "Left flank, they will sweep there in 3 seconds. Brace shields, plasma surge incoming." Her warnings saved lives, giving humanity just enough edge to survive. But survival was not victory. The largest enemy warship pushed forward, its cannons glowing with devastating energy. One blast could tear through the colony below. Ward's jaw tightened. "If that ship fires, Haven is lost. We have one chance." He turned to Serenia. "Can you override their targeting systems?" Serenia closed her eyes, her fingers trembling on the console. "Maybe. But it will expose me. They will know I betrayed them." Ward stepped closer, his voice firm but quiet. "Then trust us to protect you. This is your choice, Serenia. Stand with us now, or watch both our peoples burn." For a heartbeat, the room was silent. Then Serenia's hands moved in a blur. Symbols flashed across the console. Sweat dripped from her brow as her voice grew urgent. "They see me," she whispered. "They know." Suddenly, the enemy warship shuddered on the screen. Its cannons turned away from the colony, targeting its own escort ships instead. Confusion spread through the Vayari fleet as their largest vessel unleashed devastating fire. Upon its allies, gasps filled the bridge. The humans seized their chance. "All ships, fire everything we have," Ward roared. Ion blasts, torpedoes, and railgun fire ripped into the disorganized enemy fleet. One by one, the Vayari ships fell, explosions painting the darkness with fire. The last warship tried to retreat, but the Resolute's final salvo tore through its engines, sending it spinning helplessly into the void. Silence followed. Silence. And the sight of Colony Haven still standing, untouched below. The bridge erupted in cheers. Crew members embraced, tears streaming down their faces. For once, humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. Ward turned to Serenia. She leaned heavily against the console, her face pale, her strength drained, yet her golden eyes still glowed faintly with pride. "You risked everything," Ward said quietly. She gave a weak smile. "I gave you my loyalty. Perhaps now I have earned yours." Ward nodded slowly. "Today, you fought not as our enemy but as one of us. Humanity. We'll not forget that." Later, as the crew repaired their battered ship and Haven's colonists sent waves of gratitude, Ward stood alone with Serenia in the observation deck. "You saved lives today," he said. Serenia's gaze lingered on the stars. "No, we saved lives today, human and Veyari together." Ward studied her quietly. She had once been a prisoner begging for mercy. Now she stood beside him as a comrade, scarred but unbroken. Perhaps this was what she meant when she said humanity carried something her people had lost. Perhaps mercy truly was stronger than conquest. But Ward also knew the war was far from over. The Veyari High Command would not ignore Serenia's betrayal. They would come for her and for humanity, and when they did, he vowed, humanity would be ready. The battle for Colony Haven was over. Smoke still drifted across the stars from the wreckage of the destroyed Veyari ships, but the planet below stood unharmed. The people of Haven sent grateful transmissions, praising the Resolute and her crew as saviors, yet victory came with a heavy shadow. The Veyari High Command would not ignore this defeat. They would not forget that one of their own had betrayed them and fought side by side with humans. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the void. He knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. Serenia recovered slowly in the medical bay. She had pushed herself to the edge, using every ounce of strength and skill to turn the battle in humanity's favor. Her silver skin looked pale, her golden eyes dimmed, but her spirit had not faded. When Ward visited, she managed a faint smile. "You look like a man carrying the weight of 2 worlds." Ward gave a tired laugh. "More than 2, I think." "You doubt this victory?" Serenia asked gently. "I doubt what comes next," Ward admitted. "Your people will come. They'll bring everything they have. They won't forgive what you did." Serenia's gaze lowered. "I know. By standing with you, I have declared myself an enemy of my own kind. But perhaps that is what the Veyari need. A reminder that there is another path." Ward studied her, silent for a long moment. "If your people come for you, we'll stand against them. Humanity doesn't abandon its allies." Her eyes softened. "Allies." She repeated the word as though tasting it for the first time. Days. Later, the Resolute returned to Earth. The planet shone blue and green, a fragile jewel in the vastness of space. For Serenia, it was the first time seeing humanity's homeworld. She stood beside Ward on the viewing deck, her eyes wide. "It's alive," she whispered. "So much life, so much color. My world has long lost this beauty." Ward's voice was quiet, almost reverent. "Earth is far from perfect, but it is ours, and now perhaps it may be yours too." The Earth Council assembled quickly. The battle report spread across human colonies, and Serenia's role in the victory could not be hidden. Some council members were furious. Others were curious. In the great chamber, Serenia stood before humanity's leaders. Chains no longer bound her wrists. She carried herself with dignity, her golden eyes shining as she spoke. "My people are dying," she told them. "We thought ourselves eternal, but endless war has eaten away our strength. Humanity is different. You are resilient. You are stubborn. You survive where others fall. Together, our peoples can forge something greater than either alone. But if you refuse, The Veyari will still come, and they will come in numbers you cannot yet imagine. The chamber erupted in debate. Some leaders demanded her execution, calling her a dangerous enemy. Others urged the council to listen, to see the opportunity before them. Ward stepped forward. His voice was calm but strong. Serenia has already risked everything to stand with us. She saved Colony Haven. She exposed a traitor within my crew. She gave us knowledge that kept humanity alive. If we kill her now, we prove ourselves no better than the enemies we fear. But if we trust her, just enough, we may find the key to peace. The council argued deep into the night. In the end, a fragile decision was reached. Serenia would not be executed. Instead, she would help humanity create a joint research program, an effort to understand the potential of merging human and Veyari strengths. It was a gamble. But then, humanity had always thrived on gambles. Months passed. Serenia worked alongside human scientists, sharing knowledge of her people's biology and culture. Together, they began to design programs not of war, but of survival, medicine, genetic studies, strategies for uniting two civilizations. For the first time in generations, Serenia felt hope. Not the hope of conquest, but of rebirth. Ward often visited the laboratories, watching as humans and Veyari worked side by side. He saw laughter where once there had only been suspicion, collaboration where there had once been division. He knew the road ahead would be long and dangerous, but he also knew something new was being born here. One evening, Serenia spoke quietly to Ward as they walked through the gardens of the research station. "Do you realize what you've done, Captain? You have changed the story of my people. You have shown them that mercy is not weakness. You have given me a new home." Ward smiled faintly. "It wasn't just me. It was humanity. We're at our best when we're building, not destroying." Serenia nodded slowly. "Then perhaps one day our children will inherit a galaxy where war is no longer the only language spoken." But the peace was fragile. Veyari fleets still roamed the stars, and their high command would not yield easily. Skirmishes continued, though smaller now, as if the Veyari themselves were uncertain. Some of Serenia's people even defected, seeking refuge among humans, curious about the strange species that had shown mercy instead of fire. The galaxy watched. Other civilizations that had dismissed humanity as fragile began to reconsider. The humans had stood against the Veyari and survived. They had turned an enemy into an ally. And now, they were building something entirely new. On the observation deck of the Resolute, Ward and Serenia stood side by side once more, looking out at the stars. "Do you think it will last?" Ward asked quietly. Serenia's golden eyes glowed, faintly as she gazed at the endless night. Lasting peace is never certain, but seeds have been planted, and seeds, when nurtured, grow stronger than the storms that try to tear them down. Ward exhaled slowly, letting her words sink in. For the first time in many years of war, he felt something stir in his chest. Not just hope for humanity, but hope for the galaxy. Because humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons, nor its technology. It was something far older, far stronger. It was the ability to endure, to show mercy when others expected only cruelty, to see possibility where others saw only endings. And as the stars stretched out before them, Elias Ward knew one thing for certain. The future belonged not to those who conquered, but to those who chose to build. Humanity had always been underestimated. But now, standing beside Serenia, the first bridge between two worlds, Ward knew that humanity's time had truly come.